Alright guys, welcome to RC Mojo. I've not had a chance to do a proper video this week, but I have been fiddling with the Pathfinder when I've had a spare few minutes. We now have 3 servos installed. The new servo is controlling the gearbox ratio and it's connected to channel 3. On channel 2 is the throttle, and of course steering is on channel 1. I've not done a proper install on the radio, just strapped everything down with lots of rubber bands, with a 4-cell pack right at the back. It will be good enough for testing though. For the transmitter I'm using a GT3B with the replacement firmware. There's no power switch on the truck, so the battery just gets plugged in. The throttle trigger moves both the throttle servo and the gearbox, so the revs rise with the gearbox at a low gear ratio, and as you increase the throttle the gearbox heads towards its high gear ratio, in theory keeping the engine in its power band at all speeds. The gearbox also has a reverse, which is very handy when you've got an engine. On the transmitter I'm using the dig mixer, usually for motor on axle crawlers. It's so you can control how much power each axle gets, making it easier to get the crawler unstuck. In this case though, we can set the dig mix to 100%. On a crawler it would then only drive one axle. Here it means we can throttle the engine and the gearbox remains in neutral. Very handy when starting the engine. The next step sets the dig mix to 80%. Now the gearbox servo moves a little bit in relation to the throttle, which has the effect of locking the maximum ratio, kind of like locking it in first. Each step allows the gear servo to move a little bit further until we hit 0%, where both servos move together. It's not quite as flexible as I'd like. It would be nice to be able to set the throttle trigger to open the carb in forward and reverse without having to use the sprung cam. Having said that, it'll all work just fine. Next, we need to give it a test. A quick squirt on the primer to get some fuel into the carb, then a few pulls on the pull start to get fuel into the combustion chamber, then a couple more to get it running. Okay, gentle with the throttle. Nice. It sounds a bit odd compared to most nitros. The revs rise and then stay pretty flat as the ratio changes with the throttle. Could probably do with a bit less throttle. Being able to set the expo curve on the throttle and gearbox servo separately would be very useful. You could get everything set up perfectly. But we'll need a transmitter with a few more features for that. The engine's still running really rather rich. I was in the process of leaning it off. It's only a single needle and the carburettor isn't the best design, so you have to go for a compromise between the idle and the full throttle mixture. I was going to head onto the concrete ramps just by the car park, but of course I didn't get time to charge the receiver battery and it died after 5 minutes, cutting the whole thing short. You can hear in the last little clips of the video, the engine was just about breaking through the rich 4-stroking into proper running. Oh well, there's always next time, which brings us to the end of the voiceover. So, like and subscribe and all that. Thanks for watching. I will leave what's left of the footage here for you to watch and enjoy the sound of a 25-year-old glow engine. Bye guys.